So you all work for Amazon?
I work for Amazon.
And are there other original productions here?
There are.
Who are they? I must destroy them.
In high school, I was called Power Jerk because I was a bit of a jerk, and I was into powerlifting and Olympic lifting. So they called me Power Jerk. I didn't really have a nickname as a kid, or as an adult. Maybe as a corpse. Let's hope I have a really fun nickname when I'm dead.
My dad was athletic, and his nickname as a kid was Horse. And I was the slowest kid in Mississauga, where I grew up. So some clever bastard kid started calling me Moose. I guess a moose isn't fast, and so and also I always had shoulders like this, and I used to wear like a sort of a green shell hat, so I was called Turtle for a while.
I had several. They progressively got crueler, but the first one was Monkey.
Oh, you don't want to know. You're serious? How long's the statute of limitations? I really don't want to end this comeback with a jail stint.
I dropped out of high school as a teenager, would disappear for days on end getting drunk. Was that rebellious, or was it just alcoholism? I'm not sure. Well, I had a tequila fest on my 18th birthday, and my mom came in and had a heart attack. Is that considered rebellious? And, I said, well, you left when I was 7, and so now we're even.
Failing grade 13. Unperfect. I mean, I was going to fail anyway, so I failed before it was the case of you can't fire me, I quit.
I didn't rebel as a teenager. That's why I went into comedy.
It's kind of embarrassing. They're not really... Sidney Poitier. It's the one my mother and I shared.
Probably Susan Day from the Partridge Family, or Barbara Eden, every boy. Barbara Eden from I Dream of Jeannie. Just, you couldn't go to sleep at night after you watched I Dream of Jeannie, even if you were 8 or 9 years old. I had a big celebrity crush on Jane Fonda back in the early 70s. Not from her movies, but from her appearances on the nightly news. When she was, I thought she was pretty hot when she was protesting the Vietnam War. I kind of hated most jobs I had. I did all the Alberta labor jobs. Framed houses, drove truck at Canada Dry. I like Canada Dry. It was kind of fun because the guys were fun, and then we'd go and get drunk at the end of the day and then sleep in our trucks and go back to work. Yeah, that was a good job. I might go back to Canada Dry, and I look good in a green shirt that says, my shirt of course didn't say Bruce on it, it would say Ricky on it, because I wouldn't wear one that said Bruce, because I was a punk.
Working at Foothills Piano Shop in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, refurbishing used pianos and doing the woodwork on the exterior cabinet.
Play piano?
Not at all.
I love being a security guard. I was a security guard for a long time. In fact, when we first did our special a long time ago, I was actually still working as a security guard. I liked it for all the wrong reasons. I didn't have to do anything, really. And I got to read, and I like to read. And I liked the midnight shift, because then I could go do a show with the kids or somewhere, and then I could go to the do my work as a security guard. I like the camaraderie of security guards at night. There's a kind of a weird world that goes on at night because they don't take it seriously. Why would they? You're being paid minimum wage, and you're not going to risk your life for that. And also, this is weird, but because you can do your patrols nude if you're working on the midnight shift. I'm not saying I did it all the time, but I used to. It used to be really. I would. Until I fell asleep on a chair, and they found me, and that was the last time I was a security guard.
I worked as a movie usher with Kevin McDonald. That was my favorite, just because it was with Kevin. The job was so great. I mean, we both were huge movie fans, so we got to see a lot of free movies. But that was fun, because it was always fun. We were the funny ushers.
We ushered E.T. and Tootsie and Neighbors. But in those days, an usher was an usher. You would, can I get up? I'm standing up! You'd have flashlight, and you'd have to go down the rows. There was a family of 4, and you'd have to ask people in the row, could you move down? There's a family of 4. Move down! There's a family of 4! And then people would boo me, you're ruining E.T. And then we moved to Toronto, and it was, we were a married couple.
How did you meet Kevin?
I met Kevin at Second City Workshop, my first class. And we were sort of paired up in an exercise and immediately became friends.
Did he say, hey, I did a great job?
But the ushering, no, he claimed to have a comedy troupe. And because he claimed it, we eventually had to make one.
I think it worked out well for you.
It has, but so far, 40 years and counting, so.
Sketch comedy. It's true. I go around going, universe, this the talent you gave me? Sketch comedy, not even stand-up comedy? Or writing movie scripts? Sketch comedy? Curse you! I curse you. That's my talent. I'm not a doctor or a lawyer or a carpenter. Sketch comedy? 4-minute sketches? That's my talent. I hope I'm ruining the thing they're filming.
Comedy is a pretty useless talent, but it's very lucrative. I'm a pajama fiend. You probably thought a more interesting or luxurious item or my yacht or something, but no, it's my pajamas. Tartan, flannel, classic, old man pajamas. I'm an old man in old man pajamas. And always have been though, so I was an old man when I was, 17. Coffee, I think.
Where do you prefer to get your coffee?
Well, you see, if you drink enough coffee, you can't afford to make distinctions like good or bad coffee. That's for pikers who, dabble in coffee. If you're really serious about coffee, you drink all coffee, any coffee, whatever coffee is closest to hand. That's a coffee drinker.
A hoodie, a thin beach hoodie.
My cats.
TV, sports an item? TV sports. TV sports, yeah. It's not funny, but it's true.
Well, I'd have to fly, right? My obsession all my life has been to fly. And when I have dreams at night, when I'm happy, I fly. So I would be happy man who could fly. And then I would be happy man.
Making people angry. But not going places where nobody else goes. That can be like a topic no one wants to discuss or radiation. That's kind of my wheelhouse.
Cowardice. I'd be coward man. And somehow I would figure a way to save the world. Because we were all cowards, there'd be no wars, so.
Daydreaming.
There's who I would be and who I would want to be. I'd want to be Aquaman, but I'd probably be the Silver Surfer.
Why Aquaman?
Because, well, he's hot and shirtless, and I only like shirtless superheroes, and I didn't quite realize that until someone asked me my favorite superheroes, and I literally just listed every shirtless superhero. I went, Prince Namor, Submariner, Aquaman, Silver Surfer, and they went, oh, they don't wear shirts. I also love Submariner an awful lot because he was a real underdog, and he was an anti-hero because he might have committed genocide. He was an Atlantean, And Silver Surfer is an anti-hero. That's why I liked him. And he wore very few clothes. He just wore a Speedo in space.
I liked Green Lantern because he was so unremarkable in a way, and he wasn't very successful. He's sort of the kids in the hall of the superheroes, so I always liked him growing up.
Friday, I'm a twice-divorced mattress salesman, but usually around noon every day, I transform into super drunk.
You too, buddy boy.
Being drunk gives me the superhuman ability to fight with the bravado of 10 men.
Robber!
Anyone from SCTV, John Candy, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, and there's lots of other people. I'm going blank. I just usually walk around saying my favorite Canadian comedian, and people are saying, "Shut up, we don't care." And then you ask me, and I go blank. But yeah, let's say anyone from SCTV.
Comedian, I would say off the top of my head, Deborah DiGiovanni. I think she's one of the funniest people in the world. Sean Cullen, who's a genius, who's actually in our show. I have a lot of comedians that I love.
Well, I have to say the Tall Boys, because they're my other sketch show that I get to do. I love me a Donald Sutherland. I really do. I mean, he's amazing. I just love watching him. And I've met him socially, and it's just like, I think I'm in a movie all of a sudden because the way he talks. So I would say Tall Boys or Donald Sutherland. And if they got together in one comedy troupe, my God, that would be amazing. Are Canadians funnier?
Yeah.
Than what? I mean, that's the important question.
Then what? Then toast? Then, what? Cheese?
Than the rest of the world. Are Canadians funnier?
Funnier than other Canadians? Sometimes. Funnier than Germans? Of course, all the time.
I only can speak for the English-speaking peoples of the world, and I actually do think we're probably the funniest. I think it's because of our chip, because we're taken the least seriously. And so that's, I think, a really good place for comedy to develop, when you don't feel like you're being heard.
Oh, we're a lot funnier than Americans. And I think it's because we watch things. We're not the big successful people who own everything and who shout. We just lay in the weeds and then we snipe. You go to the East Coast, every f***er there is the funniest f***er you ever met. And that doesn't always happen everywhere in America.
I would say it's because we're half British and we're half American. So British is very dry, and American comedy, I guess, would be very wet. So in England, they think we're wet, and America thinks we're dry. We're dry wet.
Everyone laughs at us, so that's a great place to start.
Don't take yourself so seriously, I think is a good piece of advice. That's a serious one, that's not a comic one. And the piece of advice that Lorne Michaels gave us, which was a great piece of advice, is no funny photos. So when you're doing a photo and they say, hey, you want to hold the big funny thing? You go, no, I would like to not do that, thank you.
Stay away from the craft table is a really good one if you're shooting.
Well, I guess probably from my mom, which was it's the closest thing she had to a philosophy as an English woman, and that was don't fuss. I think if we all take the time to not fuss, it would be a better world. Poutine or piment? Well, really, poutine is just an abomination. We used to keep it quarantined in Quebec for very, very many years. I blame the Americans for letting it escape. So no poutine. And pea meal on itself, just by itself, is of course just cornmeal or pea meal. It's terrible, unless it's actually connected to some sort of bacon. So the whole question really falls apart.
Well, can't you have both? Although if it was my last meal, it would be pea meal, but in a sandwich, not just pea meal bacon. But yeah, pea meal because it rhymes with last meal.
Oh, I don't like poutine. I think it tries too hard. I think pea meal is a beautiful thing. And actually, as a young child, you probably know this about me, I used to sleep on a bed of pea meal bacon. We had no blankets, we were very poor, and my father was an alcoholic. That's why I'm so funny. I had a terrible childhood. So if you're having a terrible childhood, it's okay. You're gonna have a great older life and you'll be really funny.
Poutine.
All dressed chips, I don't know, they're for people who really don't know who they are. They haven't been able to make the big decisions in life. They're the people who look into middle distance and go, who am I, mommy? And then they eat a nice all dressed chip. I'm not like that. I actually like a sour cream and onion chip.
Neither. Those are my two least favorite chips. If you said salt and vinegar and sour cream and onion, I would have known what to say. Actually, dill pickle chips are the ones I love the most.
I'm gonna go bear, because a bear can kill you. And so if the bear's, considering killing me, I wanted to know the choice I made. Beaver, what the hell's it gonna do?
I think a beaver, because I resemble a little tiny man who just won't stop and could probably eat through a tree with my teeth, and I think I may have done that to get one of my sketches in the Kids in the Hall show.
Oh, beaver.
Bear.
Well, I like Drake, but, even instead of singing Happy Birthday, they sing a Drake song. So I just think he might be slightly overplayed a little bit. But maybe that's just me because they didn't play the Daves I know long enough in my career.
How many days do you actually know?
I know probably about 60 Daves. And I still meet men, generally older men. I don't think they're making Daves anymore. 1 in 11 that it'll be a Dave that I meet now.
I think I'm legally too old to have an opinion on Beaver or Drake.
I gotta say Bieber because he's from Stratford, which is a very Canadian town.
I find earmuffs don't really. I mean, I know they work. I don't know, showing off. Like, look at me, getting the protection of a hat, but not actually committing to a hat. Commit to a hat is what I'm saying.
I think toques.
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 I used to mock curling so much as a child, and then you get older and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. What I really like about watching curling, I like the talk because they're all mic'd. It's the closest thing to watching us off camera when we're shooting something.
I like curling. It's calming. I mean, hockey just moves too fast for me, and the puck is so little. When I'm in a hotel, and if I'm not watching the first 48, the most gruesome show that's always on in every hotel room, I watch curling, and then I fall asleep.
Hockey. Curling is just a place for, for drunk people who don't have the energy left for hockey, right?
Hockey. Am I supposed to keep talking? I don't understand curling. I don't mind sweeping. I sweep at home, so I sweep more than I play hockey nowadays. So I'm probably at heart more of a curler. If I ever had to play hockey, I'd have to be kidnapped and forced. I can't skate. I would probably use a broom. I'd be more comfortable with a broom, and the puck would go through the broom, and then I would eventually die with the blade hit my throat.
Curling.
Did you play curling?
Nope. Don't even know what it is. Going with curling.
Leafs! Though, this is interesting, if you're boring, which I am. I was born in Montreal, so until I was 7, we lived there and my dad made me a Hab fan. I knew about Rocket Richard and Pocket Rocket Richard, and I had the rookie hockey card of Guy Lafleur, and then we moved to Toronto and I became a Darryl Siddler Leafs fan, and it'll be that way for the rest of my life. So Leafs!
Leafs. I'm not even going to discuss that.
Leafs.
Neither the Habs or the Leaves. I'm dreaming about the Calgary Flames.
What a week to ask this question! Oh! Pass!
Oh, that is so Canadian. I'm wearing wool socks right this moment. So yeah.
It's 100 degrees today, and I was wearing a cashmere sweater, and they said, that's an interesting choice. So I would wear wool socks in the summer.
I'm assuming both of these are worn otherwise naked. Then I'll go with wool socks.
I'm living in Winnipeg, so I would say socks in the summer. The lesser of two evils.
Shorts in the winter.
Socks with your sandals in the winter as well.
Socks with sandals? No, that's like for Jimmy Buffett fans. That's not for us.
That's a cruel question. If I had to choose, if there was a gun to my head and it was being held by Finnegan, I would have to say Friendly Giant.
That's tough. They're both amazing cultural pieces, truly. I think Mr. Dress Up, because of his kindness and the way he dressed. And there's something about that book bag, Finnegan's book bag, that was sort of kind of freaky and scary to me. Like I didn't want to go down there. So I think Mr. Dress Up.
Oh my God, it's like a tie. Well, I'll say Mr. Dress Up only because we met him, the kids on our first year. They had all these CBC actors for the shows like in a line. And then he turned around and he said, I really like your scene, Reg, where you kill your best friend. I thought, wow, Mr. Dress Up like our darkest scenes.
Oh, Friendly Giant. I actually have the Friendly Giant's vest at home. I discovered it on a set and I took it home with me. It was in Death Come to Town. I wore it as Death.
Oh, Mr. Dress Up. Mr. Dress Up. Love Mr. Dress Up.
You rang, Don?
What's it going to take to get you here faster, Marv? Do we need to go back to the cattle prod?
Well, that's your call, Don, but please don't.
The first time I met him, Mark and I were starting to write on Saturday Night Live. And he, the first day he said, do you know Madonna, Bruce? Like, no, I don't think I've met Madonna. Oh, no, I met him first at the audition. He was just standing there with his white, glorious hair. And he's, hello, Bruce. Hello, Mark. And then we auditioned some weird audition where we did beat poetry and, changed roles in the middle. And
Mark and I, in '85, 4 years before our show, we were on a date with the two women, and they were hating us. They left. We had to pay the bill. We're feminists. We should be splitting. We're feminists. And we were broke. And then Mark, and he told me later that night that he had never done this before. He went to the women and said, I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing your head. And then a few years later, we were in New York. Lorne Michaels brought us to New York. We were writing the pilot. And Lorne said, just don't do your stage scenes. Do something filmic. And I said to Mark, I remember pointing at him, Mark, remember that time you did the head crushing thing? And he, bit by bit, remembered, oh, yeah. And I said, we should do that. And he said something like, Mark says I'm exaggerating when I tell this story, but I remember saying, no, Kevin, that's stupid. And then I said, Mark, We do Head Crusher. College kids all over the country will be doing it. And I don't know if that happened, but it became our most popular character.
Back off, pigs, or the tower gets crashed.
Hey, Crusher, don't! Come on, let's play ball here. You have any demands?
$3,000 and a new folding chair and a ginger ale. Right now, I'm thirsty.
Who are you people? It's me, Mark. Scott, is that you?
My God, if you have to ask, it can't be good. Am I still the cute one?
Sort of.
It's like a dream. I'm gonna be serious here. It's been remarkable. I've never been happier.
Well, it's what you would think. It's really easy and it's really odd at the same time. You know, since the show was off the air the first time, I mean, we did a mini-series that was great, Death Comes to Town, and we've done tours. Tours are fun. But there's sort of a hard work about doing a little mini-series and choices and blocking and waiting. It's like the old days in a way that tours aren't, or maybe Death Comes to Town or whatever isn't.
Well, like, we're not a cast. We're like our only friends. We tour every 3 or 4 years, texting, emailing each other. We don't call. That'd be crazy to actually talk. To me, it's not really reuniting, but reuniting with the show is pretty amazing. I think, well, I can't speak for everyone, but I will. I think we all think it was the highlight of our career. I don't know. I can't say that for everybody. Some others had really good highlights. We understand each other the most, so we have more fun with each other. Even if we're arguing, it's kind of fun because we understand each other the most. So I forget what the original question is.
I'd forgotten. The shooting's exhausting compared to this being an actor or even a writer or a producer on a TV show because we do everything. It's like there's good days and bad days, and the violence between the good days and the bad, the distance sometimes is extraordinary. And so I've just concluded I don't know anything.
We are just really us against the world again. And that's very exciting. So it's been great. This has been in the works for a few years, us trying to get it to happen. The writing process was, let's just use the word fascinating, for many, many reasons. But it was the moment that we started performing again, everything that was a problem just disappeared. And it was, it actually was better than it was the last time. For me, this is 100 times better experience than Death Comes to Town. Because I don't have cancer, to be honest. I mean, for me, everything's like, well, I don't have cancer, so I have no complaints.
On one hand, it seems completely the same, and on the other hand, it seems like completely different. I mean, there's still cameras, and they still say action and cut. The editing is weird. Like I could see it like the day after we shoot it. That's where, I don't know if you meant technical stuff. As people, we're sort of the same. We're nicer to each other.
For me, I value harmony in a way I never did. As a young man, I was never taught that you're not supposed to just try to get your way.
When you're in your 20s and you work together, it's your job to be mean to each other. But when you're older, you also want to like go to bed happy instead of no, I quit the troop. No, I quit the troop. That doesn't happen anymore.
The arguments and the laughs are identical. It's literally like you leave a conversation 7 years ago and you come back and you pick up exactly where you left off.
And I think our skill set in certain areas is a lot better, like where the camera should be and what the joke should be. And I don't think we're as easily distracted by things that aren't important.
Fortunately and unfortunately, we had to write by Zoom like everybody else did this year. And it was hard, but I think we made it through. But it was hard because we like to be in the same room or run off in 2s and 3s and hang out. That's a big part, or was a big part of our process. We're not professional at anything, so.
None of us have forgotten the unfortunate incident during our last Zoom meeting when, Kozowski, he started masturbating is what he did, and apparently he thought his camera was turned off, and although that doesn't really explain why you'd masturbate in a meeting or why you'd keep winking at the camera.
I think the good thing is we got to be together in a room for about 5 weeks before COVID hit. To be honest, we were kind of getting sick of each other. There was a lot of hearing about Scott's opinions on everything in the world. So it wasn't bad. We'd sort of broken open the egg or whatever. So when the Zoom, we did it by Zoom, it was fine. And I actually like working on Zoom. I find it super efficient, right? You just go, hi, you don't have to hear about anybody's weekend. And you just go, let's jump right in.
We are family. It is a weird comedy Thanksgiving reunion with the dysfunction and the turkey and the gravy and the good stuff and the bad stuff. Yeah, all together.
Well, as I live and breathe, Danny Huss, come on in here, boy. Have a seat, Danny boy.
Okay. Oh, boy.
Have a seat there, Dan.
Okay.
Have a seat. Come on.
Would you mind if
Oh, no.
Here. There you go.
Comic characters generally are fixated on something and they don't really learn. Dramatic characters learn and grow. Comic characters generally, not all, but they're frozen in a way. And people enjoy them making the same mistake over and over again. I think that's a key difference. So comic characters are easier to step back into because they're rigid in a way.
My characters are stunted. Like if I do an old character, I would sort of try to do it the same way with different jokes.
I think like in all sketch comedy, you put your evolution into it. You kind of have to, otherwise you'd just be trying to reanimate something that was 30 years old. The dynamic between the five of us is kind of a big part of the comedy because it affects the way we shoot a scene and stuff like that. And then of course the world has changed and we've changed with it. It's a new world every 5 years and we're in a really new world right now.
The most difficult part was the team. When we were doing the Kids in the Hall, we had a team that put us together, hair, makeup, wardrobe. And here we had to have all new people. So there was quite a learning curve in figuring out what they look like, what they'll look like now, how much can they change, but they've all been amazing.
I will need you to sign this Finders Keepers agreement.
Oh, and that is for...
Oh, it's pretty standard stuff once again, yeah. It's just an agreement that says if I find anything else in there during the delivery, that I get to keep it.
I have no idea. You know, I'd have to sort of imagine what a running tally for a per week and then try to figure out how many weeks it's been. I'm guessing it'd be in the thousands.
Oh, did you know that I have a theory about conspiracy theorists? They don't exist. It's all a government conspiracy.
He's still wandering around, he still has a knapsack, and he's still annoying everyone. And people say, is he older now? And I just go, no, he is not older. He is a little boy, and he's an old man, and he's exactly the same age as he's always been and will always be.
Aren't you a little old to be having a baby?
Aren't you a little old to be playing a kid?
Well, the elephant just landed.
Latest count, 12,282. Fully crushed. There's been some partial crushes. People move faster nowadays. The fingers are slower and the people are faster.
Stop it! Your sex machine is teasing me! Give me the... Okay, you flatfoot! You're all going to get flatheads!
You name it. He's been up to everything. He spent most of the pandemic on David Geffen's yacht, but David didn't know. What happened was he was in the Caribbean for a party, and he went to David Geffen's yacht. He got a little drunk, he fell asleep, and when he woke up, the yacht had gone out to sea, and the pandemic had already begun. So he hid in the boiler room for a year, just like sneaking up at night, stealing like pate and smoked salmon and caviar. So he lived on those three things and champagne for a year in the boiler room of David Geffen's yacht. And he was just waiting until the yacht came to Toronto. But he forgot that Toronto's not is not on the ocean. One day he looked out of his porthole and he saw that they were in Halifax. So he got out, he snuck out in Halifax, and then he hitchhiked back to his home in Toronto, forgetting that he'd sold that place. He ended up in a halfway house. Not really because of any problems. It wasn't actually a halfway house. It was just halfway to where he wanted to go. He eventually had to reveal who he was, and everyone was like freaked out in this halfway house. And then he went, this is crazy. I've been doing this to escape fame, and then he said, there's nothing I can do. He went online, he tweeted, I'm back, and the millions of views happened, and he went, well, there's nothing I can do. I have to come back. So that's where he's been. Even I didn't expect that.
Were you a good bartender?
I was the worst. Yet at the end of the night, I took home more tips than a moil.
Hello, I'm Sir Simon Milligan, and I walk the streets. I am evil and I walk the streets. And if anyone ever asks me where there's a Starbucks, I always tell them it's that way, knowing full well that it's that way. Of course, they usually come across a Starbucks. There's so many Starbucks in the world. The evil of corporations! That's what he's been up to, walking around the streets.
It's a fact. This is going to be the comeback story of the year.
It's a fact. We probably won't be around much longer. It's a fact. The Kids in the Hall revival is better than expected. See, we don't boast because we're not Americans.
Okay, say again. It's a fact. The Kids in the Hall are still funny, but much less funny than they were when they were young and funny, because you get less funny every year.
It's a fact. The 5 of us are back together. It's a fact. We're writing new material. It's a fact. We're gonna have older faces. It's a fact. We'll find out if it matters. It's a fact that I'm saying it's a fact.
Dad, why'd you name yourself Richard? He was like, because I want to be rich.
Did you wash your hands? Of course not.
Oh my God! You ever use schmaltz? Same heart attack, different afterlife.
Whoa, high five.
Even if I did know where the Antichrist was, I wouldn't tell you. We're on opposite sides.
I rather enjoy being on fleek.
I ate a bug.